I would like to show what I believe to be the main issue with the leaking Kamoer pump heads which are used in the Mastertronic unit and demonstrate my proposed fix for them. I have a couple pump heads here that show the issue, so let's take a look at them. This pump head here was installed on my Mastertronic and has been in use for less than 500 tests. You can see some pretty severe damage with these ridges that have developed on the top of the tubing, and it is getting close to leaking. If you look at the cap here, you will see some shavings from the tubing that show where the tubing is rubbing along the cap piece while it is running. I have also seen some pump heads with the same shavings and tubing damage on the underside of the tubing from the tubing rubbing on this edge on the inside of the pump head. Once I discovered this issue with the pump heads, I started designing some 3D printed washer or spacers to address the issue. I have tried 20 different designs and finally found one that is working very effectively to prevent damage and to keep the tubing in the center of the rollers. I have tested this design to the equivalent of 100 liters of pumping with no evidence of damage. Let's show how to install the spacers on an actual pump head so you can prevent leaking in your unit. To show how to install the 3D printed spacers, I will start by disassembling the pump head. I insert a small flat-headed screwdriver into a crack here on the bottom and top of the pump head and twist to separate the pieces of the head. Next, you will need to actually remove the tubing itself. Each pump head requires 2 spacers to effectively keep the tubing in the proper location. So I will insert the first one down so it's flush with the base of the channel. Now we need to reinstall the tubing into the channel around the rollers. First, place one of the plastic clips into the pump head casing, then slowly work the tubing down into the channel. Make sure to place the second plastic clip into the casing as well. It can be helpful to use a Phillips head screwdriver to help you push the tubing all the way down into the channel. Now we can install the second spacer on top of the tubing. It is important to make sure that the spacer is below the roller, the top of the roller on all 3 of the rollers. If it's not below the top of the roller, then you need to make sure that your tubing is all the way seated down into that channel. Once you have those spacers installed, then you just snap it back together and you're good to go to install it onto your Mastertronic unit.